Hey guys, so now we're here at Keiser University, giving you a little bit of insight into the other side of the things that I do. I'm going to be a guest panelist at the Sports Business Management panel here at Keiser University. So not only am I in the ring fighting or in the gym training or doing business at Daru Strong Performance under Phil Daru, I'm here doing speaking and just giving my insight into business management with my background in how I got into sport, what I've done in sport, and what I'm going to be doing in sport. So come on in and check it out.
What brought you into this, the sports management side? What brought you there?
So for me, I guess it was just through my career, I started, women's boxing wasn't even in the Olympics yet when I started. That was, I believe, 2012 or 2013 was when women's boxing was introduced into the Olympics. I turned professional in 2005, and I only had 12 amateur bouts. So the business has gone on, and it's grown so much. You have women now with the Olympics having international experience, getting over hundreds of fights. So I kind of learned on the job. And what I found was there was a need for the athlete to be educated and understand exactly what was going on. I had a wonderful manager myself who helped educate me. He was very fair, very honest, and it was really almost a free, but I did pay with the boxing, education that I got from him. So I saw there was a need for myself to be educated. I heard a lot of stories, as I'm sure a lot of you have, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield losing all their money and not being educated, understanding the importance of contracts and am I going to go to law school and learn? I mean, yeah, I could have done that, but I chose to just educate myself in a different way. Also with my degree, I was an English major and I learned a lot through there and understanding language and, and problem solving skills. So for myself, reading the contracts myself, but having obviously an attorney alongside me explaining things to me really helped. And that was really the whole point of it was I found a need and a responsibility for myself as an athlete to learn and understand. Just to go fast forward to where I am now, I saw other athletes that I could help and assist that didn't maybe have walked the same journey as me, that I wanted to be the person that my manager was to me, I wanted to be to them. So I did begin managing fighters. I had a bare knuckle fighter that I worked with, and then I have another bare knuckle fighter who was a former MMA champion that I worked with as well. Trying to help them as well, just understand. I'm trying to educate them and being fair because the business can be ugly, especially in boxing if a lot of people know about it. And I want to show that there is a good side to that business. And being a female was very just important for me to show that it doesn't matter, man, woman, it matters on the experience and the education and the willingness to want to assist and help and, just be transparent and maintain my integrity.
For someone who's looking at this, maybe they're looking at just getting a business degree, or maybe they're just looking at sports, but why would a formal education program, why is it important for someone who is going to launch into this industry, into the sports management arena? How important is having the formal education?
I can start. I think structure. I think that's something that I had to kind of learn on my own because I wish I had an opportunity to be part of an education like this. My background, like I said, I was an English major and I've done everything from, acting to fighting to managing to I was a promoter to commentating. I mean, the list goes. I tell everybody I've done everything in boxing except for judge and referee. But I really, like I said, I learned on the job. I think structure is really important. I think the balance between life experience and putting yourself out there, stepping outside of your comfort zone. One of my favorite quotes is luck is preparation meeting opportunity. I think the education is going to prepare you for when the opportunity presents itself, and it's for you to recognize the opportunity there. I'm going to leave another quote. Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. That's Ralph Waldo Emerson, one of my favorite quotes. My English professor would be happy. So for me, it was, I always felt like I was following, and I just wasn't happy following. And I said, let me go and make my own. You are such an amazing individual. I feel like there's really no difference between us sitting up here and the people watching and the students. The only difference is that we have the experience and we've done these steps. So we're kind of leading you and giving you the guidance to step outside of your comfort zone. If you have questions, reach out to the right people, have a good support system. But I think the education is the most important because it provides the structure, it provides those things that you may not think of. So I think, and something like this is just so valuable. And I personally feel like I wish I had this too, so I didn't have to kind of learn the hard way. But sometimes you're going to have to do that too.
How do women, from your perspective, really gain a foothold into this industry? And what are some of the best recommendations that you can give to explore not only traditionally male sports, but also exposure into sports for women?
So for myself, I think it comes with how I was raised. My father raised me to be a human, not a girl, boy. It was like, okay, this is life. Life's going to throw this at you, and you're going to have to deal with these repercussions and based on your decisions. So I think for myself, when I first, mind you, people don't know this, but when I got into boxing, I was coming out of an abusive relationship. So I found boxing, it was a gift from God. I walked into a gym to better myself from my abuser. I went into the back, there was a boxing ring. I speak two languages. I'm half Mexican, half Irish. I speak fluent Spanish, thanks to my mother, which I hated speaking when I was younger because I felt like, oh, make the little redhead Irish girl speak Spanish. And so I did, but I'm grateful for that because knowing two languages, knowing more than one language definitely helps. I said, how am I going to connect with these men? And the trainer, as a matter of fact, spoke Spanish. He's Puerto Rican, and I started speaking Spanish. And he said, oh, well, how do you speak Spanish? I said, well, I'm Mexican and Irish. Not knowing that that's like an amazing boxing combination. And he looked at me and said, you're going to be a world champion. And I laughed at him, and I said, whatever, okay. But I think for myself as a female, like I just went in there, and I wasn't afraid. I didn't think I was less than. I didn't think that I didn't belong there. Even though I may have felt intimidated, I was like, no, those are the voices that I didn't need to listen to. The low self-esteem, I had to overcome those challenges and say, listen, is this what you want? This is where you need to be. Be uncomfortable. Be okay being uncomfortable. Find comfort in discomfort. And that was probably the biggest thing that I did going into the gym. After that, it was work ethic. I gained the respect from my peers because of my work ethic. I was showing up the guys. They were like, well, they were getting annoyed with me. I was that kid in the front of the classroom raising my hand every time because I was like, well, I have to establish my presence here. And I think doing that is going to be through my work ethic, not speaking, not trying to talk my way into it, which there comes a place where you want to do that, but it was just establishing that discipline and that work ethic. After establishing that, it was now speaking and introducing myself, because now that I gained the respect of my peers, now they were curious about me. So I created curiosity, and they, in turn, wanted to know about me. I didn't have to be the loudest person in the room. I didn't need to be because my work ethic spoke for itself. It created an opportunity for them to speak to me and ask me questions. And then after that, it was just the networking. I started to network, and again, always carrying that I belong here. I had to keep that in the forefront of my mind the whole time. It was hard because some of us, we all have struggles with, I had mental illness in my family. In my life, I struggled with depression, and I had to really silence those voices. I went to therapy. I received sports counseling to be in sport just for myself as a fighter. But then there's business, and there's life. There's life outside of here. And I learned something that really valuable information that I got from education that I got from my manager was, when I was in college and I was still playing sport and I was still working, because in my house you had to work, go to school. You couldn't do all three. So my main focus was to prove my dad wrong. And so that was my driving force for the beginning of my career. And that's what I did. I had balance in my life. I made sure I kept the right people around me, people that supported, what I was trying to do, and I sacrificed. There was a lot of sacrifice that I had. And this isn't just for women. It's just I want to speak to everybody, but as a female, this is what I had to do too. So just because the guy gets this and this, and listen, even now, men get paid far more money than the women in boxing. It's a fact. Do I want to be like the men? No, I don't. I want to be like the woman that I am and continue paving the way for women. There's other, feeling like, oh, giving the men the attention or creating another narrative. No, I think that in this sport, we can both exist. Men and women can both exist successfully in business and again in sport, and be successful in our own rights. But what I think is, like I said, to tie it up, the main thing for me was the respect. I have the respect. There's nobody in this business that can say a bad thing about me. I walk with my head held high. I know that my values and my morals are intact. I've been asked to compromise my integrity multiple times in this business, multiple times in this life, and I said no, because I stayed true to myself. Being unapologetically authentic and being myself is what has really been the driving force and kept me successful, and I'm still competing at 43 years old. I'm still ranked top in the world. I'm headed for my next world title. Why? I don't need to. That's the best part. I choose to. So it's because I don't need it, because I have my degree, I have my job, I have everything else that I do. I could easily let this go, but I'm like, nah, let's still do it a little bit more, and let's see where it goes. But I think that's, again, keeping me intact with my balance, my inside life, my business life, my personal life, my athlete life. It all works hand in hand. So I think those are probably the main things, is maintain the balance, earning your respect, not being afraid, not realizing, being patient. It's going to take time. You're going to have to, I love breaking glass ceilings. Like, that's the best thing about this. Have the passion and Be willing to challenge yourself and know that obstacles are going to come, but if you overcome the obstacles, it's just going to lead to a far better road down the line, because now you have the experience.
All right, so just to wrap it up, I think for anyone looking at going into this, going into sports management, any last, if you could give them something constructive to think about and consider as they make this path forward, what would you have to say? What would you like to share with them?
I'd like to say, myself too now as an executive assistant and what I do with managing the day-to-days at Daru Strong Performance and working under Phil Daru, who's a 5-time award-winning strength and conditioning coach, and how I met Jose as well. I think, no task is too mediocre for me. Like, I'll take on the task to do what I have to do. There's no task too small. If I can do it, I'll do it. And I have to learn how to delegate, and I understand, like, okay, I need to delegate this, but I realize that if I know how to do everything in my facility and I know how to do everything in the business, God forbid I can't find somebody that I have to delegate to, I can handle it. So I'm the backup. And I think that's, it's an empowering role for me, but it's also been a very educational role for me. But I think that that's really important, is to just understand and not think you're, check your ego. You're not better than anybody else. I think that's a huge part. I'm sitting here, a 2-time world champion, have done whatever I've done, but Jose can tell you when I'm in the gym, I'm a team player. I want to work with everybody. And, if I can't do it, I ask somebody else to do it, or, we have discussions, whether there's disagreements or arguments. We don't like tension in the gym, so we try to have those sit-downs and those little powwows just to make sure that everything's hashed out. Because, listen, you're working with people. Everybody's different. Not everybody's going to mesh well together. They don't have to be your friend, but you want to work well professionally, because if you can't work well professionally, the business is not going to grow. It's not going to thrive. It's going to stay stagnant. So just learn how to work with different people, know your role, but also understand that there may be other roles that you may need to fill for a period of time in order to move ahead in that business.
So much.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Oh, of course.
Really appreciate all of that. But explain to me. Yes.
So interesting. So this is the first belt that I won.
Okay.
So this was the NABF title, and then after this put me in the rankings to fight for this one, and then this belt is the WBC. So this is at 126. So I fought for. So I'll tell you a quick story about this one. Well, this fight I forgot I was fighting for a title, and this fight I forgot I was fighting for a title because I fought to win. So this fight was in Mexico. It was in Sinaloa, Los Mochis, and that's like cartel heaven. So it was an interesting experience to say that nonetheless. So I only had me and my coach out there. Now I'm fighting for a world title on, it was a giant stadium with but it wasn't like tons. It was tons of fans, but it was like the Mexicans, and it was just me and my coach. So we didn't have a cut man. We didn't have other people in our corner. So we had this driver, this young guy, George, was driving us from the airport and everything. So Haas, my coach, said, "Hey, what do you think if I ask him to work the corner?" Do you know he brought his whole family? I gave him the cornerman jacket. He was like, I had the most fans there. Because I was like, oh, you get in with the local. That's what you do. And then people were like, oh, Maureen's good. But you know what I gave? And this is what's cool about what I do, and I appreciate, because I get to provide opportunity for people that don't, because you know what I mean? I'm so blessed, and I look at it like that then I get to provide opportunity for. So this guy got to get my cornerman jacket. He walked a world championship fight. It was like, this whole ordeal. You know what I mean? But the other interesting thing is, for me, I love these belts and everything's great, but I'm the champion. You know what I mean? And that's what I try to express to people, because especially now with social media, and I think the way that the youth is now feeling like that's the value. I'm like, I don't have tons of thousands of followers because I'm on the floor working.
Right, that's it.
I'm not, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying it's not, but it's you know what I mean? I'm working, and these belts, I'm like, these are nice. I'm like, but they're not, I don't really have them hung up in my house because I'm the walking champion. I'm the walking belt. Right. And I think that that's where because people put their value to something and not who they are. I feel like the most important thing, and I don't like to be I hate to say it, how do I say this? It's hard, and I feel like you're going to take this well, but it's okay. I don't support all women just because they have a vagina. I don't mean to be so vulgar when I say it, but that's what I have to say.
And this is where it comes from, in my opinion, in my perspective, it comes from what you bring to whatever it is you're doing.
Yes.
So is it your experience? Is it your knowledge? Is it your talent? Your attitude? All of those.
It has to connect. There's got to be a connection. And that's why obviously Jose knows me, and he knows this is, and I've done this stuff before. But for me and even now I think with the way women, it's so hard because sometimes with women's boxing it's they think there's one pie and we all have to take from that pie. And that's where that quote, and I have to remember, because it's hard sometimes, because I'm not getting the things that I've earned, but I'm like, it's okay, I gotta go this way. I gotta go this way. you know, because everybody's just like a magnet for that one thing.
And the piece for me is how exciting women in sports is, and there's not that platform for it.
Yep.
To really promote
Yep.
and show everybody else out there.
Yes.
This is just as exciting.
Yes.
Just as fun.
100%.
And there's.
And it's
those
another platform,
trails.
but it's another platform
It is.
that, and that's where I feel that's where my value is. And I feel like, even though I didn't fight last night, I still feel like I hit a goal. Because I'm here and I got to speak the way that I spoke. And it's like, even though the fight didn't happen, the fight's going to be postponed, I got to achieve something. Because that was my struggle. My struggle was like, okay, I didn't reach my goal, so what do I do? Like mentally, more mentally than physically, I can run all the time. I can go hit the bag. I did yesterday. But mentally, my mind didn't feel like I completed a task. But coming here, I had that closure for myself. So you got to see a little bit more of my speaking and what I do. I was on this panel with some incredible panelists. It was really wonderful to kind of share my experiences. And you know, being that I didn't fight when I was supposed to fight, this kind of like wraps everything up for me and makes me, you know, feel really like I achieved my goals. You know, there's not a lot of time that I get to go back and think about what I've done and where I came from. But whenever I do speaking events like this, whether it's motivational, inspirational speaking or speaking on a panel with other professionals in business, in sports business, I always get to reflect and get to think back about how far I've come and where I am today. And I got to say that I definitely am very grateful for the life that I live. And I thank God every day for exactly where I am.